I had an experience last night that reminded me of how obsessive thinking has controlled my life throughout most of my life, and I only realised how much of a toll obsessive thinking was having on me when I got older and looked back in retrospect at all those years where I had bad sleep, I ruminated on things, and I want to talk about that today. So, the thing that happened that sparked this whole thought was I recently played this horror game. It's called Chiller's Arts, and this is a guy who makes lots of different games. This is me reacting to a certain moment within the game. It doesn't really matter what I'm reacting to in this moment. What it matters is this man right here. In the game, there's just this random guy in a suit looking at you in the dark. And I remember at the time thinking this was really weird, and it really took me back. The fact that this guy was just in the bush and he kind of follows you throughout the game. And I thought not much of it, but I played this game. Let me just see when this was uploaded. I played this game 3 weeks ago. So it's been 3 weeks since I played this game. Thought nothing of it. Put it to one side. Completely forgot about it. But the past week, I'll wake up in the middle of the night for a pee. And I'll be peeing. And basically, it's dark. No one else is awake at night. And then I've got the door open. And I imagine that man on the stairs looking at me while I'm peeing. So suddenly I feel like I have to pee sideways. My mind starts working. I start obsessively thinking, what if there is a man looking at me? So now I have to push the door wide open, pee sideways, and then keep looking out into the corridor and be like, okay, there is no man. And then you think logically, logic goes out the window when you're obsessively thinking, but logically I think there wouldn't be a man. The door's locked. I probably would have heard someone break in. There is no man out there. But something like in my deep reptilian brain says, look out for that man. That man is looking at you. What if there is someone looking at you in this weird like Mickey Mouse costume? And that took me back because that kind of thinking ruined my life when I was younger, and honestly I was terrible at falling asleep. It was only until my 30s I really got a grip on falling asleep, something that feels so fundamental, and many people say, just close your eyes. That advice used to annoy me because I would close my bloody eyes and I wouldn't fall asleep. But for years, for most of my life, sleep has been one of the hardest parts. It sounds stupid, doesn't it, for sleep to be difficult? But it's honestly the bane of my life, and it all came down to the way my mind was working. There might be something undiagnosed going on here, but I found methods of dealing with it today. But I still get these elements of obsessive thinking today, and it does come around in my life in weird ways. But I finally got control of my sleep. But back then, sleep was awful. I remember when I was really bad, this was in my early 20s, I'd be lying in my bed, turn the light off, and I'd lie there and I'd think, what if there are a pair of eyes looking at me from the corner of the room? And I'd be lying there and I'd have to constantly open my eyes and look at the corner of the room. And I'd just stare, be like, okay, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And then I'd close my eyes. And I'd be like, right, there's nothing there. And I'd be doing that for hours. And then I'd get this worry where I'd be like, right, well, now I need to go for a wee. So I go for a wee. And then I go to bed and I'm like, well, what if I need a little bit more of a wee? Then I go for a wee, come back, and then it's just constant cycle there again. And one time that became really bad to the point where I was, up and down constantly, and I wouldn't actually fall asleep till the sun came up. And it was essentially me worrying and obsessively thinking about some sort of small detail, and it kind of overtook my life, and then it would ruin my sleep. And it's the same thing, checking that someone's not in the corner to needing a wee. Those sort of things still affect me today, but to a lot smaller scale. I still get those, before I go to bed, I still have to go to the toilet multiple times. But I'll do it and then be like, right, I am now done. And then I go to bed. Like, I let myself do a little bit of the obsessive thinking. I think, right, I'll do it a couple of times, 3 times. And I'll be like, okay, that's the cut-off point. Now we go to bed. And that seems to work for me. Allowing myself to just do it a little bit and then saying, right, now we're done. Like, giving myself that finality. But I just noticed this coming back, imagining that guy in the suit on the stairway while I'm weeing at night time. And it just took me back to all these times when, This happened over years of me lying in bed, imagining there's someone in the corner of the room, or worrying that I need a wee, or even if something small happens during the day, perhaps I had a disagreement with something, or I know that there's something happening tomorrow. I'll just be lying there thinking about it, ruminating on it. This is the one thing that affected me a lot, would be, say I've agreed to do something in the morning and I know that I have real challenge sleeping. I know that. My soul tells me don't agree to do anything in the morning, but sometimes you have to. Life, happens in the morning a lot of the time. So let's say I remember the worst, there's 2 times actually where this affected me terribly, and I didn't sleep for 3 days in a row. 2 separate occasions, and they were both jobs that I had to get up early to do. The first time was when I was making videos for the NHS, and we had a video shoot. It was about a 2-hour drive, and I knew that my friend was going to pick me up at, I think, about 6 a.m, around that sort of time. And I go to bed early. I make sure I've got everything done early in the day so I can go to bed early and sleep. Sleep didn't come. In fact, going to bed earlier made me think about it more, because I was ahead of my schedule, ahead of when I'd normally go to bed, and I lied there and I just never got any sleep. And I'd just be thinking to myself, I need to get up early. I need to be up tomorrow. I need to be rested. I need to feel good tomorrow. And then that would just keep me up all night. And I'd get this, I call it a prang of fear. Like, I'd think, I need to get up tomorrow, and then fear would shoot down into my stomach, and then suddenly I'm filled with adrenaline in bed just for the fact that I know I need to be up in the morning. And that happened the very next night, because the shoot was over multiple days, and I didn't sleep, and I went a bit crazy. 1 night of no sleep, yes, it feels horrible, but I can handle it. But the second night is when you really start to go crazy. And I had the similar thing with a filming job years later. I needed to get up early to go to London to film an event, and just the same thing happened. I was up. I think about needing to have rest and how unrested I'm going to be, and how tired I'm going to be, and how difficult the job's going to be without having sleep, and it would just make me scared, and I'd just be lying in bed being scared. And that's affected me today. Now I'm a morning person. Now I get up, I'm recording this at 5:25 a.m. I get up naturally in the morning. But even then, I might plan something for 9 a.m. And then I still get that fear. And it's like, I'm going to be up. I'm going to be up for hours before 9 a.m. Why am I getting scared? It's almost like trauma of the past. I just remember all those times where planning something in the morning was a mistake. So I just don't like to plan things in the morning. I like to get up and do things first thing in the morning, but still something deep inside of me thinks I don't want to plan anything in the morning because of how I've reacted in the past. I don't really know what's going on here, but what my lesson here is to look at how you behave and learn how you work. Because, yes, it may be some sort of undiagnosed thing, but it doesn't matter. What really matters is just knowing how you work. I know that I react in a certain way. I know that I worry about things at night. So I can take measures to reduce that. For instance, like I said, that repetitive, like getting up to go for a wee. If I give myself a cut-off point, allow myself to engage in it a little bit, and then say no. Go to bed now. You're finished. That has helped me tremendously. Trying to logic my way out of the fact that there isn't a guy on the stairs. I'm still working on that. I know that there isn't a man down there on the stairs. But something inside of me says there is. Still working on that one. I don't find it as terrifying as before, but I still have to stand on guard. Pee sideways. Think bladed to the toilet door so I can wee and know there's no man out there. But with the sleep, something that's helped me tremendously is just becoming a morning person. That's alleviated that fear, and working on my sleep, giving myself a sleep routine. Make sure I go to bed at the same time every night. And honestly, just not making plans in the morning. When someone says, do you want to do something in the morning? I'll say yes. And usually I'll say, probably, like, let's meet at the gym at, let's say, 8 a.m. And I'll say, yeah, probably. but I'll message you in the morning. And that gives me that sort of get out clause where I can say, you know, maybe I didn't wake up in the morning and then I don't have to go. And then it's not this big pressure that builds up. Ultimately, 9 times out of 10, I end up going earlier anyway because I'm up. Because I'm a stupid morning person these days. I can't help but get up too early. But giving myself that get out of jail free card where I say, let's say at that time, but I'll message you in the morning once I'm up, means that if I wake up, send that message, it alleviates that pressure. I'm not going to be sitting there worried about it. There's something about that commitment of saying, we're going to go in at 8. I'll pick you up at 8 for that job. And it's like, oh. But sometimes you just have to deal with it. But over time, it has helped. Just using that strategy where most things are not set in stone, but it's 90% sure that I will end up doing it, has helped me. Just knowing that I can get away from that helped me a lot. Anyway, I hope that this talk on repetitive and whatever kind of thinking you want to call this, I hope this has helped. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.